90% of us are not really participating in self-governing according to the Constitution. Now, we did have higher turnout for the presidential election last year, but the Constitution is very clear. Nowhere does it say in the U.S. Constitution that we are supposed to elect the president directly. Now, it does tell us in Article 1, it does tell us very clearly that it's very important for us to elect our representatives. Well, you can do a poll on your own and find this to be true. 90% of Americans cannot even name their representative. So here's the Constitution of the United States designed to show us how to be self-governing. And one of the main features of being self-governing is that we have to elect representatives that are going to represent us in Washington. Well, if 90% of us don't even know the name of the representative, how can we vote for them? How can we vote against them? How can we write them? We can't. We're not paying attention to who they are and what they're doing if we don't know their name. So this is a big problem. This means that 90% of Americans are not really following the prescribed method for nonviolent revolution and for self-governing according to the U.S. Constitution. A lot of times people think that you don't vote because you're lazy, or that you don't vote because you're too busy. Well, those are complete opposites. You know, let's figure out what the real reason is. I don't think it's because people are too busy, and I don't think it's because they're too lazy. I think it's because a lot of people see government as being out of their control. Well, when 90% of us are not participating in self-governing, government is out of our control. It's completely out of our control. Let's change things around. That's what Gov360 is all about. Let's revolutionize the way that these politicians get elected. Let's revolutionize the way that we think about government. Let's stop thinking about only the president, because that's what we get from the media, is the media tells us, oh, just focus on Obama or McCain or Bush or Carter or Clinton, whoever it is, and then we get distracted and we forget about the real importance of the representatives in Washington. The thing is, if people fear their government, which a lot of us do, and so we don't vote, we end up with tyranny. When people fear their government, we end up with tyranny. So we need to do the opposite. We need to make our government fear us. And the only way we can do that is to be engaged in the process of being self-governing, to be empowered. One thing that really empowers people is when I show them this pie chart that shows that 90% of the people aren't participating in Article 1, Section 2 of the Constitution. That really empowers people, because when you see that 90% aren't participating, and you're one of those 90%, that kind of wakes people up, and it makes you want to get involved and change things. And we're talking real change, not this kind of fake change that we get when we vote only in presidential elections. Voting in presidential elections is not going to equate to any change. Voting and organizing and running campaigns in congressional primaries, that's going to bring about change. Make our government fear us. If we are empowered, if we are informed, and we are critically thinking, if we are critically thinking people as Americans, our government is going to fear us, and that's a good thing, because you know what? When we fear our government, we have tyranny, but when our government fears us, we have freedom. And that's what we want. I think most people would rather have freedom over tyranny. So I'm trying to give you the solution that nobody else will give you. Rock the Vote is never going to tell you to focus on your representatives and forget about the president. CNN is never going to tell you to focus on representatives. So we're the only organization out there really addressing the problem. And we also know why people don't vote. I was a non-voter for my whole life, so I know why people reject the system and don't vote. But that's the problem. We can't do that. We've got to get involved, because that's the path to freedom, is to make our government fear us. And the only way they're going to fear us is not by standing on a street corner, but by going to the en masse. 90% of us are not voting now. If a bunch of those people out of that 90% went and stormed the ballot box next year in 2010 in the congressional primaries, it would really send a warning signal to our government to wake up and start behaving, because that will be the revolution, is when we actually threaten our government with the power of the people. So let's enact nonviolent revolution, and let's start doing it now before it's too late. Thank you very much, folks. Take care.